Alright, this is another quick speed shop. Check this out. Bam! Custom air dam action from all factory parts. I used one of these to make this, and I got my yellow fog lights mounted up. This thing is right out of the 70s now. The front end looks mint. I'm going to show you how I fitted it all up and made it work. And yeah, let's do it right now. I'm a professional. Don't try this at home. Welcome back. Here I'm at the quick speed shop working on my Ford Econoline Boogie van. And what I want to do today is I want to finish up the front of this van, new build wise, or fabrication wise I guess I should say. I want to build some kind of air dam underneath this van down here under the bumper that's going to be about the height of these fog lights, and then wrap around, end up here. There's a bunch of bolt holes in the bottom of the bumper because there's a plastic piece that would bolt on here, a little air dam that bolted on. It was about 1 inch tall. So I got a bunch of mounting holes I can use on the bottom of the bumper, and I want to try to figure out some kind of air dam that will look like ground effects in front of here. A lot of these vans in the 70s you saw with that. They make flare kits, and then they make just out of fiberglass. They make fiberglass flares you can add to these vans that widen the wheel wells out about 2 inches all the way around. And usually they have a fiberglass air dam that comes with them, or you can buy the air dam without it. They're usually pretty pricey. The flare kits are $300, $400, $500, depending on if they're making them and where you can find them. And then you can buy the air dam separate for like $200. But I think I could do something way cheaper than that if I build it myself. I had an idea the other day and I tried it out, and it's going to work awesome. So let me show you what that's going to be here right now. What I have here, this is the, it's upside down, hold on a second. This is the valance panel that went under when this had the square headlights in it. This is the valance panel without the marker lights that was used for the 79 to 91 vans with no turn signal here. So I got looking at this thing. You know, see, it's kind of banged up here on this bottom edge. It's kind of banged up. The rest of it's pretty straight. And I got looking at it, and if I go like this, and then I go like this, look at that. That makes an awesome air dam that matches the hole here. It'll bolt up in. I can trim some of that bottom piece off and kind of like bolt it up in here. And what I'm going to do is come over here and I'm going to round the corners of this off. Just cut it and just weld some sheet metal on and round the corners off. When I lower shorten up the mounts for these lights and suck them up tight to the bumper, they'll be down about flush with the bottom of the air dam, because right now they hang down about, I don't know, almost a ½ inch below it. So if I get that out, get them up in there. But I'm going to turn that valance panel that used to be up here down here into the lower air dam, paint it black. It's got the cutout in it that matches here. It's real symmetrical. And I think that's going to be super cool and real easy to, I'll hardly have to do any fabricating. And I've got the piece, won't cost me nothing. I think that's an awesome idea, and we're going to do it right now. Okay, so I've taken the valance piece off here. This is the bottom when it was installed originally, but this will be the top now. And this thing was pretty wrinkled up. I banged some dents out of the top. I got it roughly pressed into shape, but it's going to be, a lot of this is going to be, all this upper section is going to be behind the bumper, so I'm not really worried about that. I've taken the marker and I've marked, don't hit the ceiling here, I'm going to trim this piece off. I'm going to trim it here. I'm going to trim my round corners. Down here on the bottom, which used to be the top, all these parts that tied into the front of the van, I'm going to trim this off. I'm going to leave the like 3/4 inch piece down along the bottom, but I'm just going to trim off all these tabs all the way around and trim it down to where it's got to be about the shape. I'm going to trim these 2 tabs off here, and then I'm going to stick it back up under the bumper. I'm glad I had this laying around to eyeball it up, because it just like was an aha moment. Just jammed it up under there, and it works awesome. There was some of the edges trimmed off here. I've got a piece of train track here, which I'm going to use as an anvil, and I'm going to take this dead blow hammer, and I'm going to start rolling the edge of this down flat and hammering it out flat. Alright, I started a little bit on the vise, but I realized I needed a bigger surface, so I'm just going to kind of work it. kind of work it down flat-ish. It's starting to come around. I'm gonna have to use the body hammer and flatten out the rest. So I just got it kind of roughed into shape. Now, this thing had a lot of damage on it. I probably could have started with a different one from like the junkyard, but I got this one and it'll work. This is going to be all hidden up under the bumper, so it should work out. I'm going to go ahead and fit it up under there and get an eyeball at it. That's not too bad. So I've got my valance marked up in here. I've marked where I got to drill some more holes in the bottom of the bumper. I got one in the center just holding it here. And I'm trying to figure out what to do with the fog lights. I flipped them upside down, or I'm sorry, right side up, and I've got the mount on the bottom here, and I've turned it, and I think I can drill a hole into the front of the valance and mount the light to the front of the valance, and that'll suck it right up tight to the bumper. And that's a pretty clean look to have it be up there instead of a gap down away from the bumper a little bit. I think I like that. You know, it'll make it fit pretty good. It looks good when you're standing up here, like at standing height. It looks good. It looks like the lights mounted up there really nice. So I like that. So I think I'm going to measure equidistant over on either side from here to where I want to drill the holes for the lights. But I'll drill them last. I've still got to trim the corners on the end and refit them. As you saw, I went and I cut all the extra action off this air dam that I didn't need. I rounded the corners, got them ground down. Now I'm fitting up the fog lights. I had to make a new bracket for this one because it was misshapen and bent and the light didn't fit right. But I've got them kind of tucked in here. They're right in line with the end of the frame rails on the van because I'm going to use the bolt that holds the bottom of the spot or the fog light to the air dam. On the back side of the air dam, I don't want any fluttering like this. This thing will flutter in the wind like that. So I'm going to make two pieces of flat stock bracketry that will bolt to the bottom of this, or bolt to the back side of the bolt for the fog light. And then it'll come up at an angle like a 45 and flatten out, and I'll have a bolt into the frame rails right here. And that'll stiffen this thing up right where it won't flutter in the wind, because it's just like, you know, simple sheet metal, and it'll do this in the wind if I don't put any bracketry on the back of it. And this will give it, you know, a nice tight spot. It'll tie the lights in right to the frame and tie the dam into the frame, so the thing shouldn't want to move around at all in the air. But I really like the look of it. The rounded edges, you know, it lines right up here, obviously, because it's the same piece as this. It lines right up here, so your eye goes right down there and tucks around. You know, and some of the aftermarket ones that are fiberglass, they stick way out, or especially the flares, you know, they're a lot wider. But I think this is the perfect, you know, your eyes go right to the lines and it ties it all up. And it's got a little roll into it. You know, you mirrored up these holes. It's really trick. And I haven't seen anybody else do this before. So hopefully some people recognize what it is. You know, most people just buy the aftermarket ones. But this is pretty easy to get the flip into here and make this custom air dam. Alright, it's the next day I'm back at it. It got freaking cold out last night. It's like minus 0 degrees out. Or not minus 0, it's 0 degrees out. Feels like minus 11 wind chill. And I'm making those brackets I told you I wanted to make to reinforce that air dam. I just got some flat stock. It's like, I think it's like 1 inch wide probably. Yeah, 1 inch wide, like 1/8 inch flat stock. And I'm going to bend the top of this over to like a 45, and it's going to bolt onto the bolt that's got the mount for the fog light, so the fog light will be tight. Then I'm going to bend it here, then I'm going to bend it over flat, and then this is going to bolt up into the bottom of the frame rail, and that'll really stiffen up the bottom of that air dam so we don't get any fluttering action. So I'm just going to randomly bend this over. Maybe I'll measure it so I can replicate it for next time. 1.25 inches, that seems like a good dimension to use. I'm going to bend that over like a 45. That'll bolt on the bolt like that, right? And then I'll bend it up here somewhere. So let me climb under the van. We'll check it out and see. All right, so under here, got my bolt for my fog light here. Yeah, on there. Oh, I gotta open the hole up just a little bit because I might be able to force it out. I gotta open the hole up just a little bit, but you can see here how this is gonna go here and bolt on, and then I'll bend it down, bend this out. Looks like these might even have to be a little bit longer. Did I screw up already? Get off there. It's gonna be close. Oh, if I unbend this angle, I can get a little more length out of it. So yeah, but this bracket will tie up into the frame, and then that'll lock this up solid. This thing won't go anywhere. Okay, so I got the bracket fitted up here. I had to do a little more bending and re-drill my hole here. That's all right. You'll never see it, but this really it stiffened it right up. There's no flex in this thing at all. You can see the light mounts here right to the same bolt, so everything is tied in. This doesn't shake at all. You get very little deflection. On the other side here, without the bracket, you can see just how flexible that is without a bracket. So this is the right thing to do to mount her up from behind. So that's good. I'll just make another one, you know, bend it the same way. The hole I drilled and I put a nut cert in the hole for a 1/4-20 bolt. These are actually the holes if you had a front sway bar on your van. That's where the back bolt was. So I just drilled it out a little bit and put a nut cert in there. That'll be plenty to hold this on here. There's not a lot of force on it, but that's the answer. So I'll just make the other one, and then this thing can come off and be ready to go, and I'll sand it down and paint it flat black, and then it'll be done. You can see the light mounts nice up under here. It really stiffened it up. It's still got the adjustment, so I can adjust it up and down a little bit, but it's nice and tight, and it's nice just under the bumper. It's not touching, it's not rubbing anything, and it makes a super solid mount. So that'd be good. If I got these on, they won't really wiggle around or anything. Be really nice, a good solid mount there. I definitely want to wire these up. I tested them, they both work. So I'll get some wire and I'll get a toggle switch and I'll mount them on the inside. But it'll be nice to have some functional fog lights on the front of the van. That'll be pretty handy. I got the air dam and primer now. I took my DA and sanded. I had a whole bunch of layers of paint on it and chips and some rust pits and stuff. So I just DA'd it with 120 really fast and knocked kind of feathered out. There's still a bunch of pits and stuff in the edges. I'm not worried about that because when I put the black on it, this thing's going to get all road rashed up anyways from being down by the road and chipped up and stone chipped and stuff. So I'm just going to put the flat black on it. I paint everything with Rust-Oleum Professional. It's seems to stand up good, and it's real easy to touch up. So I'm going to let this dry and bake here for a while, then hit the flat black on it. I've painted the brackets already, and I've got the lights ready to go. So once I get the black on here, we'll be able to put it back on the van and finish out the video. Bam, here we go. Got everything painted. Got the lights all mounted up. Man, this thing looks awesome on here. I'm really happy the way it came out. Everything's nice and super strong. I'll wire up the lights later when I get to finishing up the electric on this van. But I'm really glad I got this on here. It looks mint. It was a free solution using one of these and flipping it upside down, trimming it down, making it work. It looks perfect because it's meant to be there. And it matches symmetrically. It's going to be an awesome air dam. Get this thing a little bit lower in the front. Give me some spot to mount my spotlight or my fog lights. And this is like pure 1970s, air dam action. So that officially wraps up for the front of the van. I just got to detail the grille, fix a couple cracks, get that done. But the front of the van is done, pretty much fabrication-wise. And what I'm going to do now in the next video coming up right now is I'm going to going to turn this thing around outside in the snow and back it in here. And next time we're going to start on working on the back of the van. Got to do a little bit of rust repair. Then there's going to be like exhaust system, mounting the rear bed and bunks in the back, getting the floor Herculinered, start to plan out the interior. I got some other things, some add-ons for the back doors, things like that. Get the slider door fixed and get the thing ready to fire up here in the next couple of weeks. So I'm really happy with the way this came out, and we'll see you next time working on the Boogie van right here at the Quick Speed Shop.